saying you finally just have to do something. You have to stand up as a citizen. You have to do something about it. Because you are in this room today, I know that you share my concerns about the direction of our country. And God bless every one of you for getting engaged in our political process, because if we don't stand up and take a stand right now, in my opinion, this is one of our last 2 elections that we can really change the tide in our country. That's why it's important that you're here today. But what about the state issues? What about things that I can directly control as government? You have to look at the underlying causes of why we in Arkansas, unfortunately, continue to be near the bottom in all of the economic indicators. Why are those reasons? What are the root causes? The first thing is that we have to reform our tax system. Right now, we are operating under a tax system that was created back in 1929. It was never, ever intended to catch the people that it's currently catching. Back in 1929, the per capita income was a little over $300, and the top marginal rate kicked in at about $2,200. So it was intended to, the top rate was intended to catch the people that make at least 7 times the per capita income. Well, folks, right now, that top rate kicks in at $32,600 a year. I have folks working for me that are making a good salary, $40,000 a year. Some may be a little more than that. But single mothers who are literally making a decision on whether they can afford a new car or a used car or to buy a dress for their little girl. And they are in our top tax bracket. That is unconscionable to me, that we haven't been more aggressive about changing that tax system. We have got to change it. We've got to raise where the threshold kicks in, and we ultimately have to reduce the percentage that folks pay. Secondly, we have to revise our capital gains system. And let me tell you why. At 4.9%, right now in this country, we are 36th, 40th, and 43rd in terms of where we stack up vis-a-vis the other states in terms of our tax burden. So what happens when you're making a decision about where to locate? Whether you're 20 employees or whether you're 1,000 employees, if it comes down to, if everything else is essentially the same, how are you going to make that decision? You're going to be making the decision based on the economics of it. And if you're paying a higher tax rate and your executives are paying a higher tax rate, and you know if you make a lot of money eventually that you're going to be subjected to that capital gains tax, what do? You decide not to come to the state of Arkansas, or in many cases you decide that you're going to leave this state and go to Texas, or go to not to California, that's the country, to go to Florida, or to go to states where the tax burden is lower. Now, how do I know this? Because Governor Perry loves the fact that we have this high tax rate. We simply have to change it so that we don't have not only our capital resources, but our brains leaving the state. We have a capital and a brain gain loss. Next thing I want to talk to you about is creating the most business-friendly environment in the United States of America. When I'm governor, I'm not going to go to the folks in government. By the way, we have a lot of great employees in the state of Arkansas that are smart, that work hard, that are good folks. But my mission is going to be to go to them and say, not how many more regulations you can create, but I'm going to say, if you have 100 pages of regulation in your specific department, I want you to try to trim that to 8. I want you to do the same thing that I have done in businesses that I've run, where you say, we want to have the most efficient, the most effective government, not just the biggest government. Many of you know that Arkansas has been the 5th fastest growing state government in the United States of America over the past decade for sure, and especially during the last few years. While our economy has been in the tank, and we have been seeing our unemployment rate go to 7.8%, we have added an additional 4,000 state jobs. We're now over 55,000 state employees. We simply have to bring that mentality to a stop, and it starts at the top.